All right, so we're going to talk 210.70, lighting outlets required, as we see the changes in the 2020 version of the National Electrical Code. So hopefully you have your code book in front of you so we can discuss. I'll give you some insight behind the discussions at Code Panel 2. Now, the first change you will find is in the habitable rooms. So 210.70 is your lighting outlets required. For lighting outlets shall be installed where specified in A, B, and C. A is dwelling units, and in dwelling units, lighting outlets shall be installed in accordance with A1, A2, and A3. And this is A1 is your habitable rooms, A2 is your additional locations, and then there is no A3, which we are going to fix in the 2023 cycle. Then that is true. There is no A3. There's an A1 and an A2, and that is it. All right, so let me look at the previous version to see, did we have an A3 in there? And we didn't. Yeah, we did have an A3. We had storage or equipment spaces. And what we did in the 2020 code from the 17, we pulled the storage and we served the storage or equipment spaces in a different section. And we'll talk about that. Okay. So in 210.70A1, we have at least one lighting outlet controlled by a listed wall-mounted control device. So what you'll see in the 2020 code is that we have integrated the addition of new technology. And the new technology are these lighting control devices that aren't wired. They are wireless type of transmitters that will communicate directly to the light. And so we made a change. We said at least one lighting outlet controlled by a listed wall-mounted control device instead of by a switch. Listed wall-mounted control device shall be installed in every habitable room, kitchen, and bathroom. And it says the wall-mounted control device shall be located near an entrance to the room on a wall. So we had the debate and the discussion about pulling a wire down to that location, and that these devices can basically be Velcroed to the wall. We also talked about whether or not I can control my lights from my cell phone. So do I even need a light switch on the wall if I can control the lights with my cell phone? So we did not want something that would be that remote, because I take my phone with me when I leave, and maybe I don't have my phone with me when I walk into a room. So we wanted to make sure that it was on the wall. But the way the language reads right now, I don't have to pull a wire to that location, although you will probably want to. I mean, just think about what happens if you don't have that technology. I mean, having a hard wire, if you want to change that technology in the future, if you don't pull a wire down to a switch, then you're creating some heartache for the future owners. So you're going to see a listed wall-mounted control device put into various places within this section of the code. Now, in A2, additional locations, again, we have at least one lighting outlet controlled by a listed wall-mounted control device peppered in there. We did it in A2.1, we did it in A2.2, and we did it in A2.3. We added that same language, and we did it in A2.4. Now, in B, this is guest rooms or guest suites. We added it there as well, and that's pretty much the only change that we did there. Now, the big change, I think, in the 2020 code for 210.70 is in C, all occupancies. Now, and this is where we picked up the storage or equipment spaces. At least one, I think so. This is all occupancy. So what we did was we took 210.70A3 and we basically integrated that with 210.70C, Charlie, all occupancies. I'm going to read you the entire section here. It says for attics and underfloor spaces, utility rooms, and basements, at least one lighting outlet containing a switch or controlled by a wall switch, and here's what we added, a listed wall-mounted or listed wall-mounted control device, recognizing that listed wall-mounted control device, shall be installed where these spaces are used for storage or contain equipment requiring servicing. So the only change in that first sentence was the addition of listed wall-mounted control device. The second sentence is where, in my opinion, is the big change. Here's what it said before. Here's what it said before. A point of control shall be at least one point of control shall be at the usual point of entry to these spaces. The lighting outlet shall be provided at or near the equipment requiring servicing. So, this is what the discussion on panel 2 was, based on some public inputs. I have a basement, or I have an attic, and I know this from a personal experience. In my first home, I had an attic that had 2 entries, and it was one of those Cape Cod types of homes. And in the center, if you went up into the one entry, you physically could not get from one side of the attic to the other because there was a supporting structure in the middle. There was a light switch to the attic in one of the access ways. If you pulled down the stairs in the other bedroom and went up in that attic, there was no light switch there. You had to go to the other entryway and turn the light on there, and then the space wasn't lit anyway. So that attic only had one light switch controlling the light in that space. And that would meet the code requirements because it says at least one point of control shall be at the usual point of entry to these spaces. What is usual? Which bedroom would you say, as an electrician, which bedroom would you say is the usual point of entry for my attic? And in a basement, if I have an exit outside entry or coming in from the house, I have to figure out where am I going to put the light switch at? Am I going to put it down there at the bottom of the steps from inside the house, or am I going to put it over there when you come in from outside of the house? And if I put it at the steps coming downstairs to the basement inside the house, then what if I do come from the outside? Then I come into a basement and I have no way to turn the lights on based upon the minimum requirements of the code. Now, the new language in the 2020 code for this last sentence says a point of control shall be at each entry that permits access to the attic and underfloor space, utility room, or basement. That, I think, is a significant change. So now, if I have 3 entrances to a basement, I need a light switch at each entrance. If I have 1 entrance, obviously 1 light switch. If I have 2 entrances, I need 2 light switches. And then it says at the the final sentence says, where a lighting outlet is installed for equipment requiring service, the lighting outlet shall be installed at or near the equipment, which basically is in line with the 2017 code. So the significant changes, I think, in 210.70 for lighting outlets required. One is recognizing listed outlet controlled by, or an outlet controlled by a listed wall-mounted control device, which does not necessarily mean it is a switch with a hard connection to the circuit. Okay, that's a significant change. And then finally, requiring a light switch at each point of entry to these underfloor, utility room, or basement spaces. I think the latter is a significant safety change. I think the former, with regard to the new technologies that we see on the market, we'll probably over the next few cycles see multiple changes in this area. And I know that this is the only, in 210, is the only place in the National Electrical Code where we reference a listed wall-mounted control device. Now, I'm sure in the 2023 cycle, we'll probably have to do something back there in 404 to recognize these types of switches, and possibly 406. I'm not sure. We'll have to take a look at both of those sections, or stay tuned for the 2023 code cycle to see exactly how we address these things in those in that future code. So those are the significant changes, in my opinion, based upon 210.70 2020 version of the National Electrical Code. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it useful, and hopefully you have your book. So get your 2020 version of the code book. Thank you. Stay safe, and please stay healthy. Till next time.